Hello again, boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of ROX Talks, only on ROX TV. This is one of our Fresh Blood series, where we talk to new and up-and-coming bands, and I give you a chance to hear their music as well, and hear from the band themselves about how they got started and what their hopes for the future. Today, we're talking to UK thrash meisters Thrasherwolf, who model themselves predominantly, seems, on Creator, and that's no bad thing. So anyway, we're going to hear from the band, and then we'll play some of their music, and you can check them out for yourselves, and hopefully you'll like them and go and get some of their music. Thrasherwolf from the UK, four guys who've just formed up. How long have you been together, guys?
Well, this is a complicated question.
I would say with the current lineup, probably coming up to a year and a half.
Right.
Was it a year and a half? I think. Actually, no, yeah, you're right. It was a year and a half. I remember we took the pictures of Alex's rehearsal about, I'll say, May last year. Yeah, about a year and a half. Yeah.
So Thrasherwolf did exist in some capacity before I joined as bassist, but I'd say when I joined it, they gave me about 5-6 months to learn the material. Then we began our first few gigs over the next, say, 4 or 5 months, and then Corona happened, and that's about where we are now.
Yeah, pretty much. We'd have been playing our first festival over the Corona lockdown period. It would have been Camden Rocks Fest, which is obviously a decent gig to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We would have been playing album releases and freaking other things. It'd have been really cool if lockdown didn't happen.
Now it has affected a lot of bands, new and old, and they've got so many plans for this year, like yourselves, and it's just like shit. But you know, next year's another year, and don't let it get you down, guys.
Yeah, we try to see it that our plans are on hold rather than cancelled. But when someone says, "Yeah, you've got this amazing tour, but you're going to be doing all this, but in a whole year's time," you don't.
Yeah.
One, I'm elated, but it's also kind of not even worth thinking about until it starts to come around, really.
Yeah, it's difficult to get the momentum going, isn't it? And keeping the songs in your head. And do you manage to meet up and like jam and rehearse and keep everything tight?
Yeah, it's pretty much once a week.
Great. That's helpful.
We have to. We do have an 11.5-minute long song to learn as well, so we do need to be up and rehearse as long as possible.
You're going for the Inagada Davida trophy, aren't you, for the longest song ever?
I mean, when I heard Machine Head's Clenching the Fist of Dissent, I thought, right, I can't be beaten by Machine Head.
No.
I've got to do something. I've got to do something.
It's got to be longer and it's got to be heavier.
Damn straight.
So, as I said, the last thing, that I was kind of the last person to join on to the band. Our first lot of rehearsals were pretty much a means for me to play catch up the first way through, and for me to actually play with the band and see the difference between what it sounds on recording and how everyone sort of does it.
Mm.
And I think for that first 5 months or so, we were meeting up weekly just so we could all, for me, learn it, and for you guys kind of keep it tight and have it gig ready. And then once we gigged, I think it went down a little bit because we were ready. By the time we actually started going out, we knew everything in our sleep. And now it's once a week, still once every 2 weeks, and that's
really once every week. We just practice whenever we can. Really, we're doing our next rehearsals the Thursday evening, 7:30 to 11. After a full day of work, I'm going to be shattered.
Yeah.
So go easy on me, guys.
I think it helps that we all live relatively close to each other.
Yeah, you're lucky there.
Studio that's fairly bare bones that we could just spend 3-4 hours at and not worry.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Bill live together as brothers anyway, so it makes things a lot easier.
I bet the neighbours love you.
Oh, they adore us. We always hear their television go about 5 notches whenever we get Bill's kit out. Right, they still talk to us, to be fair.
You can't play metal quiet. It just doesn't happen.
I think it helps that Bill practices on an electric drum kit, so you can kind of have everything on one and just kind of go no, very quiet.
No.
Yeah,
in theory, we could go if you wanted to, but stop that.
electric kit's dead now, though, Alex. Remember?
Oh, it is. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. The plug was pulled on that. So we've had to resort to actually putting up the proper kit for build practice. If we haven't, or if we're not able to get into a studio at that point.
At least you have, talking in studio, at least you managed to get your LP done. LP, it shows my age, doesn't it? Your album done. We Are Revolution. Tell us about it, guys. I mean, this is your first album out. I mean, you must be chuffed a bit to... I mean, now with COVID, it's kind of dampened everything, but still, fair play. You've got an album out. Tell us about it.
We're really happy with how it turned out. Well, believe it or not, it's not actually our first release.
No.
I know this is something that maybe we wanted to keep quiet at one point, but
we don't talk about this, Dan.
I know we've talked about this, guys, but it's out there now. The Google searches still show it, so we might as well just say it. We actually released an EP a few years ago before Alex joined.
Right.
Which was called Blood Moon. So 5 of the songs that were actually on Blood Moon are now re-recorded and popped onto this album, along with about 4 other new tracks, which went with it to make the full album. Let's just say it was one of the biggest learning curves we've had. I mean, I know we had a professional producer working with us, Andy Brooks of The Brook in Wallington. He's a superb musician, producer. He just does the bizzo, and he's always looking out for us, and we are really thankful. And he was giving us
the EP that I could not hear the bass parts from it like at all.
Yeah, that's right. Let's just say what we had to record the guitars at the time was pathetic. In fact, it was less. It wasn't even a 1x12 modeling PV.
Right.
It was tiny. Everything was so overly distorted and just horrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, the composition of the songs was good. The actual structure, everything fit really well, but it was just that guitar tone.
The songs actually didn't change much from what is on the album now. It's just that at the time, I don't know how age you guys were, but it was the time where you could play it but didn't know anything about recording or consider a tone or whatever. So it was only when I came in that we actually re-recorded everything and said, right, let's do this again properly.
Yeah. I think that EP, though, was necessary. Yeah. You need to have a harsh lesson for you to learn anything. We wouldn't have learned half the stuff we knew about recording now.
On our Wikipedia page, though, I'd like to have that firmly in the demos section, not as something we actually released.
Well, we've gone through Google and everywhere it was released. We've even gone through the distributors, and we have tried to erase every single trace of it.
You just can't off the internet. Once it's on the internet, it's there. Especially the photocopies of your bottom from 1980. That's still there.
I think given the nature of the thrash genre, there are still people that heard it and were like, yeah, this is a great song, etc. But just for us, I heard it and was like, the amount of effort Dan put into writing and making these, I was like, this could be better. The bass is barely audible. Like the guitars change tones mid-chord. Like it just could be so much more. So we went back and redone the album again under Andy, and this time knowing exactly what gear and what settings down to quite a scary nth degree how it was all going to be, and I think done it properly, done the song justice.
I think it was definitely a better time round recording this time. It helped that we did have actually a great amp to record through, which was
we used the PV that's behind me, mind the mess. It's that.
Nice.
We put it through a Marshall 4x12 that was Andy's to get the guitar tones.
Greens or blues?
I'm not sure. I can't remember what he had in it. He probably did say, it's just gone like...
Yeah, it's...
You've got that loud grunt. That's why I was wondering, because the greens tend to give you that thud, that pressure.
I think there's a green in that amp, but I don't know what was in the Marshall. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
Sorry, I'm just getting
Jack, a
geeky.
minute after you say we know it to a scary degree, you're like, I can't remember. But we knew at the time, and that's what counts.
Yeah, absolutely. So who? I mean, on your Facebook, you mentioned creator, the mighty creator. Who else would you say are your musical influences?
Well, when it comes to the writing, I often look at older sort of influences and newer influences, and I sort of try and bring them together. Like that sort of modern era, but yet still quite old school 80s era Bay Area. I'd say when I was writing the first song that we had on the EP, my biggest influences were bands like Death Angel, Testament, especially I'll say their more recent works like The Formation of Damnation, The Father of Lies, Evil Divide, Death Angel album especially, and The Dream Calls for Blood, Exodus, the Atrocity Exhibition A. But then when you move on to the more recent bands, I'd say Lazarus, AD, and Onslaught were right up there with my influences. And you know, I'm even going to go ahead and say that Iced Earth were an influence, being as power metal and power thrash as they were. They still had elements of how can I put it, almost like a thrash groove in what they played that it resonated with me. And as I was unemployed at the time, I had as much time to use as I could possibly use. So I just picked the guitar up and I just started writing.
That's
and just
great.
I didn't stop from there. And currently I've got 40 finished songs under the belt waiting to be recorded and released for Thrasherwolf and all of us, and to, you know, push us further.
So we won't have to wait long for album number 2 then.
Money permitting, and yeah.
Money I mean, I've seen the video as well for the Vortex. That is one fucking heavy song.
Thank you.
I mean, that is something creator would be proud of.
Oh, thank you. That really makes my day.
It is. I mean, it's got, you know, doing thrash is easy if you do it the punk way. It's not difficult.
You mean like Suicidal Tendencies, sort of?
Yeah, it's not difficult. You've got about 3 chords, you base them around E or A, and off you go.
Yeah.
To do that sort of thrash takes guts for a start to break the mould and say, no, we're not going down that route, which would have been easy. To develop a sound that is deeper and darker. Because that's really where thrash ended up. Yeah. But the Bay Area, the Bay Area was amazing. But you've obviously picked up all the later stuff, and you know, brought in the darker bass tones, and you know, really got the heaviness in there. I think the Vortex is killer.
I think one thing that was quite beneficial in the writing process was that the large majority of the material starts with Dan putting pen to paper, and it's only when the song is in a structurally sound way start to finish that he then presents to us and we start to put our spins on it. So by the time we get our hands on the song and start putting our own little things and making it unique, the idea and intent and everything it's going to be is there and not to be fucked with, really. Like, the song will remain consistent. Even if I decide I want to use a crazy effect or Jack wants to do something with it, etc., the kind of intent behind the song will always remain the same because Dan had a vision from start to finish, as opposed to a song where you have one riff and everyone builds off it, and with too many cooks it become a bit of a clusterfuck. Ours generally have quite a lot of consistency between them because of Dan, I guess.
I mean, Dan, you are the mastermind behind it, Dan, but I know there have been like moments with the odd free riff where I, for example, turned around to you and said, that's shit, but then we improved it from there.
Yeah.
I think I like the relationship we have, that we can just sort of say, don't like it, let's do this instead, as well, instead of just kind of beating around the bush and sort of avoiding that talk.
I really do enjoy it.
I think that's where it develops more as well.
That's actually one of the parts I'm really looking forward to when it comes to recording the guides or the structures for the new songs. Just, you know, before we record anything at all, is actually just finding out what you guys think about the new stuff. I know it's 40 songs, but you know, we'll get there.
Eventually.
Yeah, just to see what you guys think of the riffs, how things could be improved structurally. Because I know there's parts of songs I'm writing right now that I'm thinking, you know what, could that be there? Should that be there? Could that be an outro or things like that? But again, I sort of got that sort of influence of, how this whole choreography works. Jeff from Carcass said the same thing in an interview. He said that he writes the songs, brings them to the table, has them picked apart like vultures to a carcass.
Yeah,
beautifully written, and then it turns into this beautiful thing, this beautiful organism. You feel like God created this.
Music is a living thing. It starts out in one way, and then it breathes and develops, and then when you play it live, it develops again.
Yeah,
and it ends up sometimes totally different. It takes on a life of its own, and you think, I don't remember it sounding like that when I first thought of it.
To go back to the EP that shall not be named for a second, I think it is quite a good example. And like in the years to come, if we did have a bigger fan base, I think they would find interest in saying how the songs were. If you think of the EP as how the songs were in our head, and then the album as how they were once we actually sat down, tore them to pieces, put them back together, and put our own little tones and amps and whatever. And that's almost a progression of the songs and how they changed once we got to know them and decided what we all want to do with it.
Yeah, and anything like that is important. I mean, even sort of big bands, they release demos and things, and they are shit. Some of the early stuff that they put out, Metallica, are really, really shit. And then now they are, but fans want to hear it, to hear how it developed as a song and how somebody took Kirk to play the solo and bought him a whammy pedal. And but it is, there's no mistakes in music. It's only a learning curve.
Yeah.
So, fans will check it out one day, I'm very sure, and it'll come back and haunt you.
I would love that though. If years down the line, someone was like, "Oh, we found this." It's only if people heard that and think, as a first time around,
yeah,
and go, God, these guys, that was terrible. But if it came back later, I think that'd be great. Like,
I've got it saved so I could leak it and then beat them.
Yeah.
Do that in 20 years' time, dude.
So it's just one of them box sets like Whitesnake when you got like 20 CDs just for one album. These are the outtakes from the outtakes, and these are the bits that we talked about when we were sat on a sofa one day when we was bored. You could have one of those great big box sets. It works for David Coverdale.
Yeah, Linkin Park are re-releasing Hybrid Theory.
Yeah.
One crap on it that was never meant to see the light of day.
Yeah, I mean, these things always come back. It's just it's music. Music lives and lives and lives, for good or bad. You have done some live shows. I mean, I've seen some of the live videos.
I'm already excited for the cover we're working on at the moment. That's going to be fun.
I am too, but I'm not sure if we were supposed to mention that yet.
Let's mention it anyway.
Go on.
Can I, seeing as it was my pick?
Yeah, it's your cover, dude.
So we said for a while that we wanted to do a cover, and all kind of got to pick 2 or 3 songs each. I originally wanted to do what a lot of bands are doing, like the really ironically pop but super fucking heavy song. Like I saw someone do a Billie Eilish cover with death metal, etc. So I was looking at that, and I got a resounding no from the band. I was like, all right, fair enough. On the something that's serious, not thrash, but we can thrash up, we eventually have gone with Slither by Velvet Revolver.
Yes, that
which
would.
One of the first songs I learned on bass guitar, and I'm really looking forward to be able to play that. And
it's good fun with what we've done so far as well.
We've added our own little twist. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, it would work heavier.
Yeah, we think it's something that doesn't need a lot changed, except with Dan's naturally really gruff vocals and just dialing up the gain a bit. You could really easily thrash that up, and I think it sounds wicked. So I'm super excited for that one.
And Jack can show Slash a couple of chords that he hasn't seen as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm still trying to learn the solo and ripping my hair out.
Yeah, I think we're what now? 3 weeks into learning the song.
Yeah, it's kind of been 3 weeks of not trying very hard because most of it's quite easy. I mean, last practice we went for it proper, so we haven't really sort of been going at it as much yet.
I mean, compared to the our original songs like the Vortex or like Vermilion Steel, it is extremely simple.
Yeah, well, it's typical Slash. I mean, he never goes very far from the formula that he knows. So
it's quite refreshing for me though, because joining the band, these guys knew everything to a T, and I was playing catch up, and now I get my time to shine where I know the whole song. And this bit needs to be played like this.
That's the great thing about being in a band. You'll all have your time to shine, including you, Hash Brown, who've been very quiet this corner.
I'm a bit of a loco.
Bill is the beautiful smiley face in the background that we have that just brightens the room.
He does have a very nice face, doesn't he? He's very cute. Yeah.
The band look pretty.
You're a drummer, though. You're not supposed to. You should, be the last to get up in the morning and the last to go to bed at night.
That's right.
So, I mean, to finish off, guys, I mean, it's a stupid question, but what are your hopes for the future? I mean, do you want this to really grow and grow, I take it?
We all have our dreams when it comes... Well, I'm not going to say dreams, because dreams are unattainable. Goals, I feel, is a better word. Goals are attainable. We all have our goals in regards to the music industry, this band, and our music careers. Jack's dream, for instance, his goal is to play a festival. Like a big festival in the
Download festival was my end goal.
That's a good goal.
I've got a while to get there yet, but
you never know. Bands have done it.
Mine is to finally get to that point where I can shake hands with my idols, really, where I can use my musical, just a musical career to, just fund myself, to live comfortably off of what I love doing. Because every time I look out there, every time I go to work, every time I see people on the train, I'm seeing zombies dancing to a very familiar rhythm. And from an early age, that scared me. It did. It scared me. If it was almost like a feeling of being internally locked down.
Yeah.
It did scare me, and I know it's going to take a long time. I know there's no easy path to getting there. But if there's one thing I pride myself on, and I pride the rest of our band on, we have conviction.
Yeah. We
have willpower, and we know we will make it.
Dan's so sexy when he gets poetic. I love it.
He is, isn't he? I mean, he's the salesman for the band, isn't he? He really is.
Oh, come on now.
Oh,
we are revolution.
But I can see it in all your eyes and in your faces. You know, you're determined and you want this, and that's all you need in music. And you never let it die inside your heart, because it keeps you young, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. Just keep the faith and keep kicking ass, and you'll do it. You'll do it.
That's a promise.
I think it helps that we as a band, we all really get along, and we all come from quite modest backgrounds, so whatever we get, we're quite grateful for, and the fact it's going up. Every new thing, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like whenever we get something new that hasn't happened before, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, same. I'm with you there.
I think we'll be just as kind of giddy our first festival as we was our first pub gig, as we are the first time we meet a famous other band or whatever. It's cool.
Do you remember all the dirty looks we got when we got through the pit round the metal to the masses and we all started cheering?
Oh yeah, we got Oh wow.
Yeah, that never gets old. Trust me, it never gets old.
I can't. Do you remember how like amazing it felt when he was like on the stage announcing the winners, and like he was like, and the first one to get through is Thrasherwolf, and I was like, hey! I was jumping up and down, everyone there, like for us was fucking cheering us.
It's like fucking hell, they made a mistake or something.
No mistake.
Are you sure, mate? Are you sure? Oh, mate. But that was definitely perhaps one of the highlights of my life.
And them the things to hold on to. You know, you'll go from one step to the next step, and it just keep plugging away, guys. You'll do it. Yeah. And never give up.
Thanks.
All right. So anyway, it's been a blast talking to you guys. Thank you everybody in Thrasherwolf, a band that people are going to be hearing a lot of. We're very sure. Yeah. See you soon. I hope live.
Flesh like steel, yeah. Like steel. Flesh like steel. Woo! What's up, motherfucker?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.